What's up everybody, it's Kyle, and in this video I wanted to go over whether or not we are in a real estate bubble right now that is about to crash. Now I want to go over facts, data, and give you my analysis of what I think is going to happen. As most of you may know from watching my previous videos, I've been in the real estate market 12 plus years, probably about 15 years right now. I know it seems like I'm so young and everything, but I got into real estate very young and right out of college and have been in it for an entirety over a decade. I have seen a lot. I've seen everything, and I can pretty much say that, I've seen it all happen at one time or another with real estate, coming in right at about the 2008 market crash to where we are now, 2020, and we just went through one of the biggest market crashes since the Great Recession. So I want to go over it all, and why this is important to you is because everyone is linked to real estate in some way. Whether you may not think you're in the real estate market, but everybody is in the real estate market. Whether you're a renter, you could possibly enter the real estate market. Whether you're a buyer, you want to upgrade. Whether you're a seller, you're looking to possibly sell and get out. Whether you're an investor, there is always a time in every market. There's an opportunity, and everyone is linked to real estate. Now, before we go into this, I want to ask you one thing real quick. Do it right now. Just hit that like button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. I would appreciate it greatly. And also subscribe if you have not done so already, so you will get notifications every time I post a new video. Also hit that notification bell just so you'll get that notification every time I post a new video. Trying to put out some good new content these days, and surrounding the real estate market, the stock market, the acting, creative mindset, everything like that. So if you're interested in that, please do hit that subscribe button, and also follow me on Instagram if you have not done so already. I post there pretty much daily, so you'll get other aspects of my life as well. And also, two things for you right now. Down in the description below, I have a link to Acorns where you can get $5 for free for signing up. I'm a Acorns user. I think it's genius. Actually, you link it up to your credit card or debit card. Every time you swipe, the digital change is rounded up, and you will end up saving automatically, and it's like saving your digital change and forcing a savings account. It'll go right to your Acorns account, which could potentially grow over time with the stock market. As well as I have a link for Robinhood where you get a free stock. And I'm a Robinhood member. I've been using it for a while. It's very user-friendly. So go get your free stock and check it out below. Okay, so let's talk history real quick. So catching up with the timeline, since the recession of the housing market crash, we saw a bubble up until about 2008. That's when I entered the real estate market, which was the best time to enter the real estate market because it was the hardest. I had to work to get paid for selling a house, and it was a real market. It wasn't just popping a house on the market and then it flying off at a record high price. So market crashed, and that was a real estate problem. It crashed in 2008, went down to about 2010, 2011, bottomed out about, and since 2012 has pretty much been for the most part on a straight incline. Coming into the 2017 and the 2018 year, right about when the election was over, going into 2018, when Donald Trump was president, that's when we saw a few things happen in the real estate market. So up until this time, this is what was happening. Real estate was just incredibly appreciating. And especially in the higher end markets, I can speak for New York City, guaranteed this is what was going on around here. There was so much foreign money happening. There was people were parking their cash into the US real estate market. So people were buying, the buyers were getting bid out. It was so hard for people to get into these high-end luxury buildings because they were getting bid out by these funds of a lot of foreign money, Chinese investors, Indian investors. They were coming in with their funds from or family funds of cash. They were buying these properties at ask price or above ask price, and it was driving the entire market up. So much to the fact that there was new construction being built just for this type of market. new construction being built. People were bidding on this before the property was even completed yet. So there was just driving the market up, which was driving every part of the market up. The lower end, the higher end, the middle, even the middle part. It was just driving the whole entire market up. So now going into 2017 to 2018, couple things happened. Two main things. The Trump tax reform. That was the first one. So now what this did was it lowered the amount that you could save on your taxes and write off to a limit of, I believe it was $750,000, meaning that you could not, above this, you could not write off any more money than the $750,000 for the tax write-offs. So what this did was it put a cap on these really high-end properties that people owned, the ultra luxury, the rich properties that people own, and it put a cap on what they could write off in their tax return. The second thing that was happening at this time was the mortgage rates were increasing. What this did was that people's purchasing power was limited and reduced. So basically, say you take a guy that's making $200,000 a year, let's just use an example, and he has a 3% interest rate mortgage that he can obtain. Now that's almost free money. You're obtaining a mortgage, you're paying so low of a minimum payment a month, and you're able to afford this. Now that same person, if the interest rate goes up to 4%, that's a completely different ballgame. If the interest rate changes, I'm just using an example. It's not I don't have definite facts right now of figures, but say that 3% goes to 4%. Well, now his purchasing power just came down from being approved to $1 million to being approved for, say, 800,000, 850,000. Now that just takes a toll on the entirety of the market, because if the rates change across the board, it's not just around specific pockets of certain areas, that's across the whole housing market. Those prices, those top end prices, are going to come down. Now, one more thing I will mention, and this is more geared towards local instead of national level, but it can apply depending on where you're at. There was a reval in the town where I was selling the majority of my real estate, a reval on the taxes. Now, what this meant was that, or reassessment too. What this meant was that the tax rate that people were getting, that people were paying, the newer construction, the stuff that was assessed at a higher value by the town, say it was assessed at $1 million, it was just built, maybe it was selling for 1.1 million, but it still had the assessment close to the market value. There were other houses in this area that, say, were townhouses worth $1.5 million, but they were only assessed by the town because they didn't do a reassessment, and they were only assessed from back in the day, and they were paying taxes on, say, like $600,000, even though their market sale, their market property was a $1.4 million property, so their taxes were so low. Now people were buying that up and buying taxes on that assessment. Now when the assessed value goes up to 1.4, say, well, if the tax rate doesn't come down, then your taxes just basically double overnight for a place that was, had property value assessed lower. So that's a specific local thing that you have to keep aware of, but it's based on, it's something that could happen where your local market could drastically change overnight. So since 2017, prices came down. 2018, I saw a huge drop. Just for instance, an example, somebody had a 2-bedroom condo that they sold at $775, I believe, or someone bought it for $775,000, and the people directly below them in a 1-story difference, same exact layout, ended up selling their place at $720,000. It was a $50,000 difference, and it was a matter of a couple months. The exact same property, the property value just came down so much. Now, I almost didn't feel as bad for the people selling at $720,000 because I was actually selling it for them. I felt worse for the people that just bought in 2017 going into 2018 for that $50,000 increase, now they know their property, if they went to sell it, they would be at a $50,000 deficit that they would have to owe the bank. So they took a hit on that. Now, if they ride it out, then it's going to be different. But depending on what they want to do, that's unfortunate timing. Now, since 2018 to going into 2019, honestly, it's been stable. The rates went back down a little bit. Everything kind of stabilized, and it's been pretty steady ever since. So the 2008 crash was a housing problem. That was exactly what it was. It was based on the housing market that became the problem, which is why the real estate market crashed. What has happened recently is the pandemic. Now, 3 things that we need to highlight during this pandemic time of the virus. The first one is the stock market crash. So the stock market crashed in March, crashed in April, and has almost risen to brand new highs. Now, they say the housing market is slower to react, but the stock market has pretty much caught up since then to be able to be at new highs. So number 2, the unemployment. Unemployment's at 40 million and counting. That is crazy. That's 1 in 5 people are on unemployment. Now, the good thing is that this is the government stimulus that is able to provide money for them to be able to pay their mortgages and pay their rent and not have this volatility in the market. Now, however, if these people really have lost their job, the new origination for mortgages has just took a 20% cut easily right there, because they are looking within 3 days of approving the loan for people to see if to have a job check, whereas before it was a couple weeks. Now they're checking within 3 days because things are changing so drastically, to see if they still have their current job. So the new origination of loans has, I'm sure, I've talked to a couple mortgage people, has dropped drastically. Now, number 3, this is definitely happening. I can only imagine it's happening everywhere, but it's happening for me. I'm seeing it personally, where there's movement all across the board. First of all, everybody's stuck at home. So if you're renting, you are possibly looking to buy something like a house where you have a yard and can enjoy the outdoors instead of being in an apartment building in town and in cities. So I'm seeing movement, suburban sprawl. So people are moving, whether they're in a small 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom with kids and in a walk-up, and they were okay with that before because they could go down to the park. Well, now they're not, and they need to get out. They want to get a single-family house. They don't want to be around anybody as much. Or if people are in a large 3-bedroom or they're in a large place with a terrace, with outdoor space, in an apartment building, they're looking to get out because they don't want to ride the elevator with people. So there is more of a push towards single-family houses, larger units. People are upgrading if they can. And why can't they? Because the rates are still low, and if they still have their job in an area where it's possibly more affluent, where you're able to have those jobs where you can work from home or something like that, the housing market is going to be able to keep up in those areas. Now, what do I think could cause a crash? 2 things. First is the Airbnb market. I know so many people who, when times were good, everything was good, they were over leveraged in the Airbnb market, picking up 60, 70 units, being able to Airbnb them out. Now, Airbnb took a total stop. It stopped, unless you're in a resort type area where it's like the beach or something like that, where people are trying to go on weekly type rentals and they can enjoy a week at the beach. I know for a fact those 2 months has just drastically dropped the Airbnb market for the traveling, where it's like you're going to a place to travel and you want to stay in an Airbnb instead of staying in a hotel. Those kind of places have drastically dropped, and those people that were over leveraged already are not going to be able to pay their mortgages, and now it's the forbearance that you're able to do, but we'll see how long this goes on, and it's still not back up and running. Now, the second thing is rates. If the rates go up, prices come down. It's the same thing of purchase price, of the whole thing. So we got to watch that to see if the rates start going up. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's one thing that could cause it. The other thing that I think could cause it is a virus resurgence. If the virus comes back, everything starts over. If there's a second wave that's very strong and people are continuing to lose their jobs and stay out of jobs and things aren't, opening back up, that could delay this whole process, which could in turn really have some effect on people being able to pay their mortgages, being able to pay their rent. And if they can't pay their rent, then their owners and landlords, a lot of the times, if the building's not paid off, can't pay their mortgage. So it's a domino effect. The next thing is if weird programs start coming out. Now, if lenders have actually tightened up shop a lot. They have really tightened up. They've really, they're being a lot more strict, whereas they're not just lending to anyone. They're checking, doing a lot more background checks, doing a lot more credit checks, doing a lot more job checks. So as long as, and I don't think this is going to happen, but as long as no weird programs start coming out, more like those no-doc loans where they didn't even need to check anything, but they were giving people loans because prices were just rising so much, which was happening in 2008. As long as none of that stuff happens, I don't see a market crash coming. Now, 3 reasons why I am against a market crash coming. The first one being that suburban sprawl. People are moving from these cities. They're moving from New York. New York was probably the worst place to be during this pandemic, and so are many inner cities and where people are all close knit to each other. I'm seeing a lot of people moving out from those cities, being able to work from home, and that's going to be a gradual trend. But that doesn't mean that it's a market drop. That just means it's going to be a market correction in cities, and where the prices might come down there for rents, for purchases. But housing market is going to boom when going out to the vicinity and the proximity of the city and surrounding areas. Number 2 is that people always tend to pay their mortgage and their rent first. That's the necessities. They tend to pay those things and not pay and spend money on other things. The necessities, when you're cutting down your budget because you just lost your job, or you're going to get that unemployment check and you're paying your mortgage, you're paying your rent, you're paying your food. You're not going to pay your new pair of sneakers that you really want to buy, or spending on a new car. You're going to limit it down, but you always have to live somewhere and keep a roof over your head. And then the third reason, and I just said it, very old saying, is that people need to live somewhere. But it's the absolute truth. People don't need to buy stuff. People don't need to be materialistic. That's why the stock market is so volatile and so much more risky. People need to live somewhere. You can pretty much guarantee that if you get a place there's so much different things in real estate. There's so many different avenues and ways to play it. But you can pretty much guarantee that real estate will hold its value up until a certain point, because it's land and they're not making any more of it, and it's just getting more scarce, and people have to live on it. So real estate and people needing to live somewhere is actually a benefit for why the housing market is going to continue to stay strong. So what's my analysis about everything? The short answer is no. I don't think there's going to be a housing market crash. I think that maybe there's going to be a resurgence. Even if there's a resurgence of the virus, people are going to stay at home. They're going to continue to work from home, learning new ways to work from home. The government's going to continue to pay stimuluses. If there is more of a resurgence, they're going to have to keep paying unemployment, and people are going to be paying their mortgages and their rent because they got to live somewhere, and they're going to be, moving into different areas. They're going to be reevaluating their life situations and maybe getting a new place because they're spending more time at home, and upgrading or selling a spot because they, don't need this, or they don't want to live there anymore, and they want to move into a in a house or a different apartment or a different area even. I can just pretty much say this to be sure, that if the market crashes, it will not be a housing problem this time. If it crashes, it's going to be because of the economy taking another hit, and more people losing their jobs, and the virus coming back, and just more of a total economic problem and not a specific housing problem. So we have yet to see, but that's my analysis on everything about the housing market. I'm in it. As most of you know, I am a real estate broker full-time, a real estate investor, and happen to be an actor. So I'm just in this whole thing, but no acting stuff's going on right now. We're just fully focusing on real estate and being able to continue to go through with life even in these volatile times that we are living in right now. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you did like the information in this video, please don't forget, just hit it right now. Hit that like button, and it'll help me with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you very much. Subscribe if you have not done so already. Hit the notification bell so you will get notifications every time I post a new video. And follow me on Instagram if you are on Instagram, because I post there pretty much daily, so you will get other aspects of my life as well. Thank you so much, and please leave a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking about this real estate market. I will reply to you, and let me know what you think about the real estate market. Take care. Talk to you soon.